No worries. Hey, so we are live here at the USTFCCCA Convention in Orlando. We'll get started here in just a little bit. Of course, it's tradition. I've got my main man, Blake Bolden from Drake Relays, on the leadoff leg. We'll get started in just a few minutes.
Yeah, come on, Drake. You're on the clock.
I know, man. I know. You know how it is. Hey, Tim. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and you guys just feed people in, okay? Including this guy. I know I told you before no, but yeah, I changed it a little bit. All right, all set?
I'm ready.
All right. All right, here we go. We are live on Twitter and YouTube for the Gill Connections podcast, bringing you every year. We just try to do something just a little bit fun, a little bit more fun, just a little bit more adventurous. And this year, so we're going to do the same, air quotes there, right? We're going to do a live podcast here for the next hour or so. We're going to be on Twitter and on YouTube. And you might actually be listening to this in the future, listening to it on the podcast. That's how podcast world works. But this year we're going to have a theme. So each one of our guests that we have, we are going to ask them their opinions, their thoughts on all the changes that are going on in the NCAA. So we'll see. Everybody has the right to answer it on their own. They could say no comment. That's completely fine, and we'll veer off to somewhere else. And then some will have very in-depth. And so we're going to start with one of my good friends here. I know I already introduced him, but I like him to introduce himself. Introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, I'm Blake Bolden, Franklin P. Johnson, director of the Drake Relays. Thrilled to be here with you, Mike, and thrilled to be here at the Coaches Convention, USTFCCCA. As everyone can hear, the energy in the background is palpable. There's a slight roar pretty much from the lobby of the JW all the way over to the Ritz-Carlton, and a lot of fun this week.
Yeah, I love it. I wish sometimes we could change the camera around and show all the people that are here, man. It is a lot of fun. And honestly, you know, you've heard me say this before. I consider this week my Super Bowl. I mean, like, I just love this entire week of hair down, no athletes to have to worry about. Actually, they're all worried about their athletes, but there's nothing going on the track that they're concerned.
Well, and nobody gets on a plane to come here without first ensuring their athletes are home for the fall,
right?
So they can entrust that the athletes are with their parents or families, or even still on campus, but in good hands. And just an exhale after a fall semester. You know, for distance coaches with cross country, and then Boston, and now the event areas other than distance have maybe done a little bit of a test at the end of the season, but now it's just exhale till probably January 2nd or 3rd.
Speaking of a test, you know, as a background in distance yourself, pretty good miler, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really interesting, and it's been going on for a while, but it just seems to have more hype here lately. The Boston meet after cross country, man. Holy cow.
Well, and every year the distance runners head there, and they set some incredible performance, new collegiate record, something that you just can't believe. Then the following, and everyone says, wow, is it ever going to be faster? And then, of course, the following year.
Yeah, next year. Right, exactly. Well, I love what they're doing up there. All right, Blake, so, you know, you're in the hot seat. We're talking about the NCAA changes. There's a lot of things, a lot of ways that question can go. NIL, roster caps, the demise of the Pac-12. There's a lot of avenues. I'm going to let you pick. What do you think about all these changes going on with NCAA?
Yeah, conference realignment, major issue. How athletes can monetize their name, image, likeness, huge issue. But really, with all of these changes, I think the biggest thing in the sport of track and field, it is a time for unification. It's time for coaches to start to unify. It's time for the Coaches Association to lead a conversation, not just at the conference level across and on campus with administration, but even in Capitol Hill with the Senate and Congress, to really ensure there is legislation beyond the NCAA that starts to protect the Olympic movement.
Right.
And I know Sam was there at the end of the summer, August and September. And really, I would encourage any coach or others that are listening to this to identify somebody that is listening to this right now, knows someone that controls a congressman's calendar. And that person needs to reach out to Sam, track coaches, you know, get Mike Holloway in front of these people, get some people in Congress and in the closed doors with senators and congressmen to start talking about how we can protect the Olympic movement with an emphasis on the oldest Olympic sport, track
Yeah.
and field, and what is the best sport in the world.
Agreed. How would this? How would you answer this question? How does this affect? Because we talk a lot about the athletes, we talk a lot about coaching, we talk a lot about the conferences. What about, again, still my favorite meet in the whole world, Drake relays? How does this affect positively or negatively the Drake relays?
Yeah, and a lot of that remains to be seen. I mean, some of it depends on investment, not just in scholarships and roster size, but how will travel be impacted for these traditional Power Four?
Right.
What will happen to the small colleges? I actually think, and just me from where I sit, NAIA D2, D3, track and field might actually increase in significance on their campus.
I think so.
That's my inclination. Now it's a matter of how can we balance that with the Power Four schools really investing in Olympic development in a way that we never have.
Yeah.
Wow, with the central emphasis on American Olympic development.
Yeah, I love it.
So there's a lot of balance to that, and I don't know what all the opportunities are for our event, but I'm increasingly aware of the challenges, and I think every one of us here faces challenges. But it is a time for unification, and I mean that across collegiate track and field, the NCAA, Coaches Association, but also those other 5 Cs. So we're talking about USA track and field.
Right.
We're talking about Running USA. We're talking about RRCA, where everyone has to identify the significant role that the collegiate system plays in not just American track and field development, but global track and field.
No doubt. Love it. So remains to be seen. But can you stand here today and guarantee we're having a Drake Relays this year in 2025?
We're going to have a Drake Relays in 25 and 26.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, so in 2025, we're celebrating our 115th anniversary.
Yeah, congrats, man. I love that.
And we're a unique property in that we celebrate Iowa high school track and field. We celebrate collegiate track and field at every level.
Yep.
We also celebrate Olympians in a very real and authentic way, but also masters athletes, Special Olympians, the whole gamut. It really is an opportunity for 10,000 fans to celebrate every athlete.
Love it.
What we need to do as a sport is recognize those assets, Penn Relays, Drake Relays, and others that attract fans. And instead of putting our best athletes in some high-performance meet where no one will see it, either on television or in the stands, to identify those and work together to make sure that they survive and thrive in the next generation.
Love it. All right. So right now, someone is actually listening to this December of 2025 because you utilize this content, right? So I'm going to ask everybody who sits down with us, give us a prediction for this upcoming year. It could be Drake related. It could be world record related. It could be NCAA. You just make a prediction, and we're going to find out how close you were in December of 2025.
Well, for one, Team USA will have just gotten back from Japan with another incredible performance. There's no doubt about that. Number 2, NCAA will only be faster than it was.
Yeah, true.
As we sit today.
Yep.
And then I think there will be some shifts. I don't know what will continue to happen at the NCAA Division I level in terms of sports sponsorship, in terms of roster limits. Those are all unknowns in this moment. But I do believe that as we all continue to collaborate with leaders like you contributing in a central way, that we're going to be stronger. We might be streamlined at some levels, and there may be some reformation of the way schools invest. But I don't think that there's any risk to our future.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not a Chicken Little, sky is falling. There's going to be changes, but we're strong and we're going to continue to move forward, I think.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And women's track and field, I think, is going to continue to prove that it is an incredible valuable asset to every athletic department in America.
All right. Well, that was a pretty benign prediction, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
More, but I know you've got about 40 people.
Yeah. I'm so grateful for everybody here, and we're going to try to get every last one of the guys and gals that are here waiting. And we're going to say thank you, Blake. Man, thank you so much again. It's a 3-year tradition of you leading us off here live on the Gill Connections podcast, and it means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, sir. It's no souvenirs. You can't take that with you. All right, who do we have next coming up? Come on in. My bouncers need to bounce. Not bounce, actually, but just get people in order here. All right. I love it. This is 2 Gill Connections podcast alums in a row coming up here. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Charles Ryan, Director of Track and Field at San Jose State.
What a storied program. I mean, do you? I know you do because I know you. You realize the kind of gravitas you have of leading such a historic program.
Absolutely, it was part of the appeal of taking the job in the first place. I'm a Bay Area kid.
Yeah.
born
Oh,
and
that's
raised,
right.
so,
Yeah.
a chance to chart a new path of such a historical program and try to make the alums proud of what we're trying to produce today.
Yeah.
It goes a long way, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I love it. You're doing a great job. Really, really proud of you. Really proud of you. All right. So tonight we're talking about the NCAA. What's your opinion on, and you get to take this any direction you want, NIL, roster caps, recruiting, et cetera, et cetera. What's your thoughts on all the things going on with the NCAA?
My initial thoughts are there's a lot of thoughts, feelings, and opinions floating around, and the fact of the matter is at this moment we don't know enough about the change that is coming. I'm not a person that is naturally resistant to change. I try to embrace it. I try to find opportunities to do what we do at a higher level, no matter what the circumstances.
Right.
So right now, I'm very much in a holding pattern. I want to see, what comes out of the House situation. I want to see how that directly affects not only the sport, but obviously my individual space that I hold in this business.
Right.
I'm a mid-major Division I coach. I have mid-major problems, and so the fact of the matter is that I have no problem with the roster cap. Zero.
Yeah.
It's fine. The opportunity for 45 scholarships, 35 scholarships that some programs are already embracing and already reaping the benefits of. The fact of the matter is that reality will cause and is causing a Grand Canyon-sized gap within Division I.
Okay.
And there's no way that you can.
Hasn't there already been?
Not like this.
Okay, more.
Not like this.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. A year ago, in our previous season, San Jose State produced 7 male All-Americans in various events.
Right.
That was with the idea that my scholarship budget was 12.6.
Right.
There's no universe that exists now moving forward where I will have even the 12.6. But everyone at that meet, in theory, if you were fully funded, was at minimum operating off of the 12.6.
Right.
Now you're telling me that my reality means I get less, and people in the big conferences are going to be at 45.
Yeah.
It's already hard enough to compete.
I see.
And
yeah.
The gap is going to be
Yeah.
bigger.
If I was some kind of geography nerd, I'd be able to like whatever is a little smaller than the Grand Canyon, and now the Grand Canyon. But a little hole, now a big hole, big change. Yeah.
And so, like I said, for programs like myself, balance is probably going to be out the door. We're going to have to be special at what we do.
I wondered about that.
And offer those opportunities to young people, and hopefully that they see some value in what we have to offer.
Yeah. I appreciate someone who says that they're someone who's not resistant to change, because that's my style as well. And it'll be interesting because there's other people like us here amongst our coaching brethren that will be like this. It'll be interesting to see. I think we'll be strong, but I think we'll be changed.
Oh, change, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, cataclysmic change. Like it's not going to look like anything that's ever looked like before. Once all this dust has settled.
All right, so we're asking everybody, because this will be replayed in a year from now as we're leading into the 2025 convention. Give us your prediction. Doesn't have to be NCAA House versus NCAA. It could be we're going to break our 200-meter school record. It could be we'll have nobody on the Olympic team. I don't know. Well, there's no Olympics, but we will have nobody on the Olympic team next year. I'll just take that prediction off the plate. But we're going to see if you're right next December.
I think other than just the NCAA shit, I think the new World Athletics schedule is going to make it a lot more difficult for NCAA athletes to make those teams in general.
Right.
Be it foreign teams or American teams.
Yeah.
So I think something that you could point to in 2025, I think they're going to see a lot less collegiates making the American team.
Wow.
Given how late USA's is.
Yeah.
Versus how close it's been to the end.
It's usually just it's the next weekend,
2 weeks,
Yeah.
It's 2 months apart now. And just the mechanism of keeping kids on campus and allowing them to go in there. Do programs want to invest that kind of time and energy into making those teams where you got to keep kids through August?
That's a good prediction. I like that. Yeah, I like that. That's because that'll be one we'll be able to actually tell, like, oh, how many made it in last year and how many made it this year. That's a good prediction. I love that. Chuck, thank you so much, man. You have been a big supporter of the podcast from day one, and so I'm just always grateful for you.
I appreciate the work that you do, man. You're doing a great job. It just keeps getting better. So keep working on it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. All right, that's a good prediction, right? I mean, we'll know how many people made it this upcoming year versus last year. So I like that prediction. I have bouncers out here that take care of this crowd. I also have to have these same bouncers for when it's autograph request time. It's a little embarrassing. But not embarrassing is I love our relay meets. And I do say, and I'll say it in front of other people, Drake Relays has always been number one in my heart. But I tell you what, KU Relays has made a move. They have made a statement, and I'm glad to have this guy leading the way. Why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Tim Byers, Kansas Relays Director, going in my third year of being a director there after 28 years of coaching, but I like what I'm doing.
Third year as the director, but you've been involved in the KU Relays.
Yeah, I'm a born and raised Lawrence kid.
Yeah.
So probably 40 plus relays I think I've been to.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah.
Wait. So like since the day you were born then, because
I'm a little over that, but I appreciate that. But, back in the days, Lawrence used to let the schools out. We could go to the relays on Fridays.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so since grade school, junior high, and high school.
Yeah.
We
got to start that back up. I like that tradition. All right, Tim, this year we've got a theme. So we're asking everybody the same questions. And the question is, and you get to answer this however you'd like, is what is your opinion on all of the changes going on with NCAA, obviously specifically for track and field, how that might affect KU Relays? What's your thoughts on just everything? You get to take it what direction you want to go in.
And it's going to affect everyone from top to bottom. But I think where it's going to affect us at the Relays most is that we will have people traveling. Budgets are not going to be quite what they used to be and stuff. So you got a team that's coming from 2 or 3 states away. Instead of bringing 30 kids, they're going to be 10 or 15.
Right.
That sort of thing. And so I think that's where the biggest effect is going to have on us. And I know a lot of schools, they want help getting their kids there too. Well, if their budget's shrinking, I think other budgets shrink also. So I think it's going to kind of all-around tightening effect that's going to be going on.
What do you do in this scenario? We don't know this scenario necessarily is true right now, but possible, and I could see that. What do you do as the KU Relay? Do you invite more teams? Do you beefing up your historically amazing high school program?
Exactly.
What maybe do you combat that with?
High school's not an issue. I mean, we'll bring in over 3,000 athletes for those 2 days of the meet and stuff. So the collegiate, I think we're going to have to concentrate on the Nebraska, the Arkansas, the Iowa, the Missouri, the people that don't have to travel.
Right.
I got my good friend Stevie Keller in North Dakota State. That's a long trip.
Yeah.
To bring that many down. And, want to make it worth the trip.
Right.
So, maybe we start to, concentrate a little bit, kind of what the relay started as 1923 was KU, K-State, Missouri. Like a lot of the schools, Wichita.
Right.
And concentrate on those.
Yep.
And it's still a great meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll still get the best of Division II, Division III, NAIA.
Yeah.
JUCOs are all still.
Good. So this will be republished next year as we're leading into the 2025 convention. So we're going to be able to check your answer on this next question. You get to make a prediction on what's going to happen in track and field in the next year. You, again, any direction you want. It could be KU related. It could be Olympics, high school. It could be you. Who knows? What's your best prediction on something that's going to happen this upcoming year?
Well, I think we're going to see a world record in shot.
Oh, yeah. Real brave of you there. Yeah. What next? You're going to tell me there's going to be one in the women's 400 hurdle, which actually might not. Who knows? We don't know what event she's going to run, but yeah.
I'm just such a, I started cut my teeth on throws coming up and stuff. And to see Krauser and the interest that he's getting, that he's doing for these young athletes now, like it's okay to be a thrower.
Yeah.
Just a runner or the jumper type of thing. The stuff he's done for this sport has been amazing.
Yeah, and what a great guy and a great. I know some of the family. Amazing family, and really, you talk about a track tradition. If you don't know the Krauser, so maybe Ryan Krauser, go look at his era, so his brother and cousins, but then go look at their dads and uncles. It's amazing.
Can you imagine that at Thanksgiving with those guys?
Yeah, most people. Yeah, most people play a football game. They go out and throw the shot and the jab and the hammer. Exactly. All right, Tim, thank you so much, man. I'm really grateful for you and your team and what you do in leadership in our great sport with the KU relays. It's a very important track meet that we have, and I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad it's going back into healthy territory because that what is it? A rising tide lifts all ships. This is part of the tide that lifts us all up. So
what you do for track and field, this podcast is excellent.
Thank you.
And we're fortunate to have you do this.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
All right, man.
Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much. Thank you. All right. We we basically just have the same people over and over again. He was going to talk without a microphone. I know how he operates. You got to get a little bit closer here. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Start out by introducing yourself, please.
I'm the director of track and cross country at the University of Lynchburg.
And I had the same issue last year. Speak up just a little bit for me. Use your command coach voice here for me. All right, let's redo that.
My name is Jim Strecker. I'm the director of track and field and cross country at the University of Lynchburg.
I love it. My favorite thing when I came to visit you, it seems like many years ago because it was before COVID, the Virginia's for Lovers sign that you guys had on middle of campus. And then I'll never get over the way your track is set up to where you have I think it's the sophomore dorms or whatever that just literally overlook lane 8. Still one of the coolest, most unique things I've ever seen. I love that.
Oh yeah, we're blessed. Our track is the centerpiece of campus.
Yeah.
So any kid that goes to any class or any activity on campus has to walk past our track.
That's so cool. I love that. All right. So this year we've got a theme of what we're asking each guest that sits down with us. And thank you so much for being here. You get to take this any direction you want because there's a lot of directions to take here. What's your thoughts, opinions on all this stuff that's going on with the NCAA, specifically as it relates to track and field? What you think? What's going on there?
Well, as a Division III institution, we're kind of waiting to see what shakes out in the Division I level and how it filters down.
Mm-hmm.
Being kind of an old school coach, kind of breaks my heart that we're getting away from the larger teams,
Right.
participation part of it.
Right.
The fact that conferences used to be as few as 6 teams and you had 6 lane tracks and scored 6 places. So now having these mega
it's hard to even imagine that right now. Right. You could also say we used to be 10 and 12, and that has gone by the wayside. Yeah.
Exactly. And so in some ways, I would hope that to, reflect the number of these size of these conferences, that we would go with more scoring, kind of similar to
Yeah.
And that way, there was more opportunities for kids to participate, more opportunities for kids to score in conference championships, and then have the opportunity to have larger, more well-rounded teams.
So even at the Division III level, you're not head in the sand saying, "Oh, this is a Division I thing. It's not going to affect us in any form or fashion." You kind of know something. You don't know maybe what, but something's going to affect Division III.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Do you foresee? I believe this. This is why I'm kind of asking this question. With the roster caps that are coming on the Division I side, there's still, the track and field on the high school when you add boys and girls together is easily the biggest participation sport over basketball, football, etc. So there's still a lot of need for college facilities. Do you foresee whether it's larger rosters or even this may seem like bad, but I don't mean this in a bad way, higher quality coming right out of high school to you?
We think that's going to be the case. Talking to my counterparts in Division III, even talking to other coaches in other sports, it's kind of the consensus that those kids want to be a college athlete somewhere.
Right.
And where's that opportunity going to be?
Yeah.
And so it may be a few years until
Right.
we see all this.
Yeah.
But, Division III could really change the landscape.
Bro, you have heard me say this a lot of times. Maybe Division III has the best coaches around because I know what these kids are at a high school. That's not derogatory. It's just where we are with our levels. But go look at D3 Nationals. Holy cow, you guys are coaching your butts off. I couldn't coach in that level, and I coached in the SEC back in the day. It's unbelievable what Division III and all NAIA, JUCO. It's really quite amazing what you guys are getting it done on the track and in the field, man.
And it's thanks to guys like you that support the sport and really give us the opportunities to put this great sport, out on the platform.
Thank you.
Others can see.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That means a lot. All right, so we rerun this podcast as we go into next year's convention. So someone is going to be listening right now in December of 2025. So we're going to put you on the spot. What's your prediction for something that's going to happen over this track season. It could be Lynchburg specific. It could be world champs. It doesn't have to be. It could be world record. It could be you're going to set your 200 meter. Maybe you are going to set your 200 meter school record. One prediction that we get to check next December to see how good you were or not.
Well, I would say after last year's Olympics, that's going to be a hard meet to beat. But
Yeah.
the World Championship, these athletes always come to play.
Crazy.
And so my biggest prediction is that the disappointment that Noah Lyles had.
Yeah.
Coming down with COVID, that's going to just make him even more determined.
So a bounce back from Noah. Yeah. Okay.
And I still think it may be a far stretch for some world record, maybe in the 100, but maybe in the 200.
Yeah.
The right race, right opportunity.
Yeah. And what's interesting, and I love it, I think it's good for our sport, is as great as Noah is, and that's awesome. He's got some competition. It's not just Noah. There's other people that are running out of their minds, and I think that makes Noah better and others better as well. That's a good prediction. We can check to see how well that one is. If he doesn't win both 100 and 200, and a world record, what is it, 19? No, 1914 or 19? That's so stupid. I mean, that's just crazy. We remember 1932. Like we can know where we were, when we saw. Yeah. That's our 9/11. Like, where were you 1932? Oh, I know exactly where I was. I love it. Sprecher, thank you so much, man. I've had the great privilege to be able to coach with you in the same athletic department and seeing you go through different schools and, your time at Lynchburg. This is a compliment. You are made to be a Division III coach, and some people would take that as a slam. And you know me well enough that it's not a slam for me. Your love for athletes. It don't matter if they're running 20 minutes for 2 miles, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. You just love improving young people and competing. Win or lose, you just love to compete, and I love to see that in you, and I love to see that in your athletes and your coaching staff. Yeah, you deserve it, brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on the show, man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Love you. It's a hard one to follow. Are you sure? I love it. All right, why don't you start by introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Mark Fairley. I coach at Liberty University as an assistant coach, and I'm also the facilities and track meet director there. And
Yeah.
so out in Lynchburg, following Coach Sprecher, he is the man. He's
Yeah.
awesome man.
Yeah, I'm so dumb. And scoot towards me just a little bit, just so we can get there on the Twitter. So I went to through Lynchburg because was it Charlottesville and Blacksburg bookends, right? So I was kind of doing a tour, right? And so I was going to go stay the night in Lynchburg and visit my buddy Sprecher and all that kind of stuff. And as I'm driving in, I see this sign, home of Liberty, and I was like, is Liberty in Lynchburg? I knew it was in Virginia, but I had no clue. And so I call my friend, our fellow friend, Sean Van Avel, and I was like, Sean, are you in Lynchburg? And he's like, yeah, it's spring break, but yeah, I'm here. I was like, bro, I am here. And I had no clue. And he gave me a tour. This is back when the indoor facility was still being built, but gave me a tour. And that's a campus, bro. Holy.
Coach Vinny, shout out Coach
Yeah. What I've known him for a long time and really love him. And really the thing that just I get the most just pride and grateful for him is his work with coaches education. I'm a huge coaches education guy, and I'm not sure besides him, maybe and Larry Judge, who teaches the most level ones and stuff. So I love his servant leadership with that. But we're here to talk about you. So and you have a unique perspective. That's why I really wanted you on the show, and so super glad that you joined us here. So our topic this year is all the changes that are going on with NCAA. You get to take that any avenue you want. What's your opinion? What do you think's going on, and how do you see things playing out?
Yeah, so I coach our bottom half of our women's team. We have 32 women on our distance roster. And we kind of heard rumors of the numbers coming out, and kind of like, oh, that's not actually going to happen. And then our athletic directors met with us and kind of said, hey, it's most likely going to happen. We're moving forward. If it's going to happen, your numbers are 17 and 45.
Wow.
Track,
Wow.
And those 17 automatically have to count toward the 45 for track.
So you can't have 17 and maybe 10 of them are, because there is a difference between track and cross country. 10 of them from the cross team move on to track, and then the other 35. Those 17 take 45 minus 17 if you're going to carry 17 on the cross.
So the odds are we're not going to be able to carry 17 distance runners.
Right.
And so that, number one, puts me out of a coaching gig. number two, I recruited. We were told to be for number wise for Title IX to be at over 30 women.
Yeah, how does this affect
So,
Title IX? Yeah,
it's going to completely change it. And
right.
I honestly think it's going to ruin, be a train wreck for women's sports in general.
How
And
so?
there's going to be a lot of missed opportunities. Even within our program, we have, yes, the 17 girls in my group are
Right.
likely not going to be a part of the team.
Right.
We've had,
But don't
multiple-
they? I get to play a little bit
Yeah.
devil's advocate, and I do actually believe in this next question
Yeah.
personally, and it's also easy for me to believe in these things because I'm not in your
Yeah.
seat either, right? But don't those 17 young ladies have an opportunity to go to Division II schools and Division III and junior college, depending on what year they are, NAIA? There are other opportunities without, and by the way, you as well get an opportunity to coach at other institutions,
Yeah.
or is it, or do you think there's more of an immediacy to the negativity that's because there is going to be some negativity? I'm
Yeah,
not
for sure.
Pollyannish here.
Yeah, no, and I do think there are going to be potentially more influx in Division II programs, Division III programs. I ran at a Division III institution, and so like I love that what D3 stands for
Right.
and the opportunities.
Right.
I think what we're kind of looking at is running club options on campus because Liberty's a unique school and people want to be there because
There is that. I agree. I agree with that.
So even in my group of 17, a couple are on the transfer portal, but I'd say the majority are planning on staying at Liberty.
You know,
Just won't have the opportunity to run on a Division I team.
I didn't think about it this way, but I know there is a, I'll call it healthy because there's a national college club championship for cross. And I wonder if that organization grows, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was actually able to start a running club on campus 3 years ago at Liberty.
Yeah.
And the cool part is like we're working with our athletic department to see if we can possibly build up the running club even more.
Yeah.
And that's a question too. It's like, is there a ability for coaches or maybe me who like won't actually be a coach anymore to be involved in that?
Right. And that's a pure, a lot of times on the Division III side, and maybe it's unfair to say Division III, but in some schools, it's a tuition driver. Have more kids on your team, they pay more tuition. The club is 100%, well, beyond academic scholarships and such like that in grants, but it's a real money drive, potentially.
University loves that.
Yeah, I would think.
And the retention rate is very similar in club sports.
Maybe better?
I don't know about better, but
I mean,
club sport
intercollegiate athletics have a higher GPA than non-intercollegiate and higher graduation rate. So when I say better, I didn't mean that as like a slam, like, oh, athletes are dumb, they don't graduate. They actually graduate higher than a normal student does. So that's interesting. Okay, so we're asking because this will be also published next year as we lead into the 2025 convention. So I'll be able to check how good you are at this. You get to make one prediction for track and field cross. I'll allow you to have cross country in there as well if you'd like. Something that's going to happen. It could be Liberty related. It could be pros, high school. What do you think is one thing that might happen in track or cross country in 2025?
Well, I do think I brought, and I can leave this with you. I wrote a letter to Congress because our program said that the biggest change would have to happen at the Congress level.
Right.
So I'm trying to get the word out that like we can advocate for our sport and advocate and this is not obviously something to fight for, but if we can advocate for opportunities for our athletes, like I want to do that. But I think as far as your prediction question goes, I'll keep it local, and I'm going to predict our women's cross country team is going to make it to the national championship.
Yeah, is that right?
Teams out this year, and
yeah,
back a good group of them. And
oh man,
studs, so.
That's cool because now you give me something to root for too. I'm like, all right, I'll watch because Liberty played my alma mater, Troy, in football, and we didn't do so well. So I'm not a big Liberty fan in that sense, but in cross country, I can root for that. I love that. Hey, and by the way, you notice he's not the first person, and we're just getting started here. That has said talking about Congress and making sure we're communicating with them and making sure our top people are communicating with them about the real richness and opportunities that track and field and cross country give young people in this country specifically. Yeah, I love it. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you for visiting us. Really a lot of value add there. And go Liberty in cross country, not football.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you, man.
And I'll leave this right here.
Yeah, please do. I want to read that. Absolutely. Thank you. we just keep rolling right along. This will be our first, excuse me, our first guest of the night that hasn't been a previous guest on the live taping. You're a rookie here with this, and so move up just a little bit for me, just so Twitter, the tweets, the people there want to see you there as well. Please start by introducing yourself.
Scott Hall from High Point, North Carolina.
Where did we first meet at the Olympic Training Center?
I believe so. I was doing the decathlon
Yeah.
at the time, and you were
Hurdles. Yeah, that's right. Oh man, Johnny Mac, man, I love it. And now you're at really beautiful. Not that Chula Vista isn't, but man, High Point, gorgeous area, gorgeous campus. I love what's going on there.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of good things. Coach Esposito, Mike Esposito's been our director. He came there from a high school coach with no track. And, we built that thing up over a period of time.
How long?
He's been there 20 years. I joined him 9.5 years.
I was about to say, how long has it been for you? Has it really been almost 10 years?
Yeah, it's been about 10. So our staff's been intact quite a long time. Our women's distance coach, Remy Tamer's been there 8. Shimoya Pruitt's been there 7 now. Hillary Holmes joined us. This is her 3rd year now. We finally got our full allotment of coaches. And then Scott Houston has been there once since there in pole vault.
Yeah. Is he an alum? Did he go to school there? I know him as High Point, though.
From the greater Greensboro area.
Okay.
Greensboro, and then went to Carolina.
Oh, okay. All right. I always think I associate him with High Point, so I wasn't sure. Yeah. All right, Scott. So you've been around to a lot of great institutions, all the way from Olympic Training Center to other schools, Power 4 and all those kind of things. It's where we just keep shrinking from Power 5, Power 4. I don't know how that's going to end up. But today we're talking about the NCAA and all the changes that are occurring, NIL, roster caps, the whole, and there's just so many avenues to take it. What's your thoughts, feelings? What's going on in your brain with all this stuff?
I remember I was a Division III athlete at Upstate St. Lawrence, and we had a little 160 and 160 meter track, and we would have Syracuse and Colgate, both Division I teams, come to our place. Do a score triangular meet. We would beat them, and they would come home. And we did that year after year. And you never see that type of thing.
No, unheard of.
Ever take place now, and that maybe speaks to kind of the direction that things have been going. I was in college 44 years ago. I coached in Division II in out west at Northern Colorado, and we were, well hosted by New Mexico and the Air Force Academy and Idaho State and Colorado State and University of Colorado. And we had athletes that could help their athletes, and we sport meets, and we didn't come close to beating them, but we beat them in some events. But coaches kind of relished the competition. And now it seems like more money's gotten into things, and there's more pressure on the coaches of the programs that really have great resources and funding and recruiting ability and all that thing. And so they want to really, I think, put an arm length to all those programs that could be a possible threat.
So you see, I would say even less, but I mean, I don't know the last time I saw a triangular meet even happening, but you're saying even less of the meets of the mixed D2 and.
I think what they try to limit the competition, you get into a meet, but maybe you don't get lanes, or maybe you don't get everybody in the team in there.
Right.
And the idea, I think, is, if I could get a person to my conference meet to prepare them, and that's really what I care about. It tends to be more selfish, and I think of coaches in the past that have helped us at California schools. Dave Murray at Arizona was really gracious back in the day when I would take a team down to Tucson from Greeley, Colorado, and I think that stuff is kind of gone by the wayside. Everyone's kind of looking at what's in for them a little bit more.
Right.
And now that the money and football and all this thing, it's turned into even more of a competitive, maybe homogenized situation where we control the good venues and the meets.
Right.
We can kind of keep people in that we want and people out there.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that the more pressure on the schools that are getting more resources is a bad thing. I think of the old Spider-Man quote of, with great power comes great responsibility. If we're going to spend and invest money into it, well, it's money. And so we got to get things out. But there needs to be I like that word you used, homogenous. That it can't be that. It needs to be more inclusive, if you will. That's one of the beauties of our sport. That's the most inclusive sport there is.
Right. I mean, when I was coaching in Division II, you were first or second in the national championship at that Division or in champion Division III and had the standard to go to Division I, you could advance on. And that ended, I think, in 1989 or 90. And so, and rightfully so. I mean, we had our own championship, but it was always really good to see the underdogs get to compete against the big schools. But there was really nothing to gain for the big schools other than get embarrassed, maybe. And so,
right.
That was maybe a downside. But I mean, there's a lot of changes going on. I don't know if there's a lot of answers. I know the House settlement is supposed to be finalized April the 6th.
Oh, is that right?
I think a lot of teams or conferences are going to try to make decisions around March the 1st. And at a place like this, we don't have a lot of ticket resources. We have a small arena. We're not on TV a lot for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball gained 3 extra scholarships. But to reduce the squads on other things would be, maybe a cut of tuition revenue for
right.
School our size. But we continue to get more and more students every year there just because of the popularity of the campus.
Yeah, right.
It is, et cetera. And so if athletes get reduced, can they make up for that in admissions by regular students?
Right.
There's a lot of ifs on the table.
Which already has a lot of its own pressures as far as college attendance in general because of cost.
Yeah, I mean, when Coach Esposito started there were 1,200 students, and now we're up to 6,300 students.
Wow.
Which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
But there's a cost involved. I mean, I think the discount rate for our school is pretty low compared to some other schools, which helps keep revenue coming in. That's how we have nice facilities and those types of things, and have really good academic programs now because of it.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. The era of the tryout maybe has gone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it may hurt walk-on statistics, if you will. Yeah.
I think in track there's always been a lot of walk-ons.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids eventually have gotten to earn scholarships.
Yeah.
I think maybe that still would be the case. It's just you won't have those participant walk-ons, kids that are really good kids,
right?
And really learn a lot about themselves and learn a lot of skills that they can take further into life.
Yeah.
And that's the downside to really athletics at this level. But
makes sense.
People are saying, and I kind of see that as a Division III athlete and Division II former coach, that those divisions are going to really see a big trickle.
Yeah,
down.
you would think, right?
Like even the mid-majors are going to see a trickle down from the major conferences. So there's going to be a shifting landscape.
Change is the only constant. We're definitely having change. Yeah.
There's been change before when we had 48 requirements. When those
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Here we are. We're still prospering. Yep. Yep.
Prep school, and then they kind of did the whole cut back in the thing, and
yep.
as a result, now we have better student athletes
right.
across all sports and better academic services and tutoring and stuff for everybody. So
yep.
there's a lot of things in play, and in the recruiting process, I think a lot of high school coaches and parents and even the student athletes themselves don't know what's going on, and they're treating the recruitment like everywhere else, and we've got to do a lot of education.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a lot of coaches that don't know what's going on. So how in the world is a parent of a 17, 18-year-old kid supposed to know what's going on?
I saw something today, this was a slide on Instagram account, order of recruiting. It's like people on my own team. It's basically a football-based thing. People on my own team.
Yeah.
People in the transfer.
Yeah.
And they went down the thing.
Right.
High school kids were number 6.
Yeah. Well, we'll all find a way. That's for sure. So next year we'll be publishing this as well. So we're going to be able to check this answer here over the next year, 2025. What's your best prediction of something that's going on? It could be High Point related. Keep it track related, of course. But what's your best prediction of something that's going to happen?
I think that, for a majority of the programs, they're going to opt in and try to get their money.
That's going to be interesting.
That it was going to be tied to participation in the NCAA basketball championship.
That's last I heard.
Yeah, but right now, the last thing our compliance director, Dean Sanchez, said was initially that's not going to be the case.
Okay.
So you may see a lot of the schools that require on for enrollment driven, to keep their bottom line in the black.
Yeah.
I think you'll see maybe they have another year to maybe figure that out.
Right.
And maybe down the road, I think that will be the case because, as we all know, money really drives everything.
It does. It does. Well, Scott, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your experience. You've got a lot of experience, and you've seen a lot of changes that we talked about. Freshmen couldn't compete, things like that. All of those things. By the way, women participating in sports, all of those things were supposed to ruin college athletics, and yet here we are, stronger than ever. So we'll see how this impacts it as well. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Who's coming down next? Just push your way past the candy guys. Yeah. Exactly. Go ahead and scoot up just a little bit for me here. The people on Twitter need to see you as well. Exactly. Let's start by introducing yourself.
Yes, I'm Bob Hamer. I'm the director of track and field and cross country at Rider University.
So my first question for you is, was it just destiny you were going to coach track and field with the last name of Hammer? I mean, come on. You ain't coaching football and tiddlywinks and basketball. You got to do track and field.
Yes, I don't know. I kind of fumbled my way into track and field. And, I was soccer and baseball growing up, and somehow I was much better at track and field.
Yeah.
And, just kind of ended up here.
So I love it. Well, talk to us today. We're specifically talking about the NCAA and all the changes, right? From NIL to roster caps to how that trickles to D2, D3, etc. What's it look like for track meets, etc. You get to take it any direction you'd like. What's your thoughts on all the things that are going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it poses a lot of challenges for a lot of people. I understand how we've gotten here, NIL and
House and
really important. But I mean, I think there's some unintended consequences at a place like me at a lower level, lower resource Division I institution where we're tuition dependent.
Right.
We're struggling a little bit financially, and I have a full roster of 120 kids. Sometimes we get as high as 130.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Going forward here, if we do opt in, we're gonna have to minimize our roster by 30 athletes at least.
Yeah.
And that costs university money. And being lower resource, we're not gonna those extra athletes are important in our program. We're developmental. Out of those 15 kids on each side, I can find 4 or 5 that are really going to help us out,
right?
And help contribute to our hopefully winning a championship or competing for a championship. So I think there are a lot of effects that have been unintended consequences that people haven't really considered, or maybe they considered and just discounted that they don't really care too much how it's going to affect us. And and I think our athletic department and athletic director is faced with a lot of really challenging decisions. Sadly, I think only myself, being the director of track and field, and our basketball coaches are the only people that I think really care about it, which is disappointing.
Right.
I think we need to have a larger voice and understand.
Yeah,
how it's
for
going to
sure.
affect, not just your program, but the athletes.
Yeah. Question. Completely fair that you don't know the answer to this because you brought this up in our previous guest, and I hear you guys loud and clear on our guest mic, so we're just going to eat that mic as we talk into. When you talk about opting in, and again, you have all right to say I have no clue here, Mike. So what happens to the Division I schools who don't opt in? I assume that means you therefore can't compete at the NCAA Division I championship because you have a roster of 100 versus the 45. So what happens? Do we have a 1AA? You remember that old terminology for football?
From my understanding, it has zero effect on whether we can compete at the NCAA championships at all.
Okay.
It's just a matter of whether or not we can provide NIL opportunities for our student athletes. So for us, it's strictly just basketball decisions.
For sure. Great tradition there, right? Yeah.
So I mean, the big thing for us is, our AD's like, hey, if we don't opt in, we could go from being a competitive basketball program to being one of the worst in the league, and that's going to drive decisions.
Congrats. You made everybody happy. They all say your microphone is a lot better. Thank you for that. Yeah. Everybody take notes on how you're supposed to handle a microphone. Just eat the thing. Yeah. Don't worry about the hygiene aspects of this at all. Just close your eyes and keep going here. Thanks for the feedback on YouTube Live, by the way. Appreciate that. Okay, keep going. I interrupted you. So I don't necessarily hear you being a negative Nancy about this. I don't hear you being what would it be, positive Peter? I don't know. Yeah. But more of just like sober realism, like, okay, some things are going to change and we're going to have to figure that out, not only as a track team, but as an athletic department and as a school, because you did describe something that is happening in a lot of schools, that there are issues because of the cost of colleges, and so therefore attendance levels at all overall of colleges are down, and that's not a very good financial model for a business who's banking on I need X amount of kids and growth every year.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially a place like Ryder, where if I have a kid on the team and I have to cut him or her, there's not a student in the population that can replace him. See, that's where that's the difference between us and maybe a different, maybe a large state institution where they can have another person that could come in and take that spot. For us, this is real dollars, real money.
Right.
And part of the plan they'll say is that, hey, we'll take the roster spots from the other sports, and we'll increase. They're not at the roster limits right now.
Right.
So they can increase the rosters. The challenge is they can't provide the same opportunities, in my opinion, that we can provide in track and field, where we can give them opportunity to compete. Our conference is really generous. In cross country, we can have unlimited entry, so every kid can get an opportunity to compete in a championship. We have really high event limits in indoor and outdoor track, so every kid almost gets an opportunity, and that's something that every kid can hang on to, that as a dream, as a hook to stay involved, to stay engaged.
Right.
And we can develop them into
Stay in school.
Keep
earning your degree. Yeah.
If you're on the soccer team, only 11 people get on the field. You're on the trust team, only 11 plus the building get on the field. So there's not as many opportunities, and those coaches are going to be forced to keep athletes happy, keep some harmony on the team, and I think that's going to be a greater challenge than people making decisions feel like it is. Even you could mandate it all you want. In my opinion, it's not that easy to keep a lot of people happy in those sports. Where we have, there's times where we have some discourse and we have to handle it, but we can provide opportunities. I think that's the difference maker for our sport.
I love what you talked about, 11 people on a field versus our sport. That is, to me, the greatest part about our sport is the inclusivity. So tall, short, big, small, black, white, brown, not only for our athletes, but also for our coaches. And that, to me, that's what makes it special and why we have to fight for it and make it survive and thrive in what we're doing. No, you're good. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm a little bit, we understand the reality of what we're facing in the future, but, I'm sad because as a coach also, it goes against me. I like to give athletes opportunities who I think maybe have potential, and that's going to change moving forward here. We're going to have to make some decisions that aren't fun.
Well, Bob, so this will be published again next year as we're leading into the 2025 convention. So we're going to be able to check the answer to this next question. What's your best prediction of something that's going to happen in track and field? And I'll let you go ahead into cross country if you'd like. I don't know how I check in cross country. I know nothing. Barely can spell the words cross country. It could be very specific to your program. Could be elite level, high school, NCAA. You get to take it. What's a prediction you think's going to happen in this upcoming track and field season?
Wow, like something specific?
You get to be as specific as you like. Yeah. Put you on the spot a little bit.
I think one of the things is with all the changes. Number one, I think track and field is at the highest level it's ever been.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's your fault, by the way. All you coaches, it's all your fault.
Coaches do a great job, and I think that's a hard question. I just think it's going to be really different, and coaches are going to have to learn to adapt and change and be able to be competitive at the level that they're at and in the league they're in, and what the expectations of the department are. So it's not really a great answer.
All the coaches that I know, and I know a few, adaptability is their middle name. We don't get in our sport and not learn how to be adaptable. So I think if that's truly what it's going to take to move and survive and thrive in our sport, man, we're in good hands. I'm good with that. Bob, thank you so much, man. I'm grateful for you joining us, man. Thank you so much. Absolutely. We had someone all in the game mention about, thanks for the mic. I appreciate that. It'll be interesting as is the addition of MJ's GST Golden Spike. No, what's Michael Johnson's Grand Slam track? Oh my gosh, Golden Spikes I think was an old professional track series way back in the day. And all in the game also asked, will NCAA athletes be allowed to go to World Relays? That's a great question. Someone else mentioned earlier about the calendar for the trials for the World Champs. That's going to be an issue. Go ahead and move up just a little bit more. And you saw the protocol. Yeah, we want to hear that big beautiful voice. Start by introducing yourself, please.
My name is Dave Espinoza. I'm the director of track and field and cross country at the University of Pike.
One of my favorite things about your program, besides you, of course, David, is I love this insignia. It's always, every time I see it, it's like, that's pretty cool. And the orange color kind of pops. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah. I love that. All right, so you've been here listening. You know the topic of the day. What's your thoughts, feelings, actions on all this stuff that's going on with the NCAA?
Yeah, for me in particular, not being under the NCAA umbrella, I feel like it's going to be a trickle-down effect to see what's going to happen, at least for us in the NAIA, in terms of things. So as the Power Fives and everyone else starts making those decisions, and then it's just going to start filtering down and kind of see what happens. So.
Has there been any talks that you're aware of on the NAIA level about roster caps or how NIL affects or anything like that?
No, NIL has come up a little bit, but in terms of rosters, we haven't heard anything. I think for the most part, a lot of NAIA schools are enrollment driven, smaller liberal arts universities. So to try to put that cap on there could, we see a lot of schools shutting down. It could, exacerbate that. Where track and field kind of be one of those larger sport rosters.
Yeah.
So
that's the part that I can't wrap my head around. Now, certainly there's some schools that don't need the track team as far as the people on the team to help support the school. But it might be the other way around where there's more schools that do need these 100, 120, 130, 150 rosters for the survivability of the school.
Yeah, we kind of see it all the time. If they don't have football is the biggest one, track and field is generally the next largest.
Name another sport. How can you ain't carrying 100 people on the basketball team?
Yeah. So, and then, within collegiate track and field, all the student athletes get to participate. So, it's not like you said basketball where there's 5 guys on the court at the time and you have 60, well, there's some people that are definitely not getting any playing time in that. So, and then in terms of NIL, it's going to be interesting. There's some schools that I've heard within my conference in different sports that are raising quite a bit of NIL money. So, it's the viability of the sport and what, geographically what you can provide in terms of that NIL money. And then,
do you foresee an issue? NAIA has different rules, different eligibility rules, and I don't know necessarily why I'm gonna call it the House, overarching for all this NCAA stuff, House versus NCAA. I don't know why this would affect it, but do you foresee that there'd be an issue with a kid being able to transfer from an NAIA school to a roster capped program because of the different eligibility? I don't know. I might be reaching here.
There's some eligibility differences that take into account. You always hope, good students are always going to be able to transfer regardless. But, sometimes, you get some of those developmental guys that kind of spring out and then try to go to that Division I level. I don't think we're going to probably see that as much with the roster cap. I mean, they're going to probably have to come in and, be in that contention of probably hitting, that top 12, top 20 in the regions.
Right.
To try to get to the final site. So that'd be, that's what's going to be interesting. I kind of think that there may be more of a trickle down effect, like I said.
Right.
More folks going Division II, NAIA.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Division III.
That's okay, by the way.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's interesting to me when people talk about this will be less opportunities for high school kids and those kind of things. And I'm like, are you forgetting that there's a D2, D3, NAIA, junior college? I mean, there's a lot of other levels with amazing Go look at, and you have to deal with this. Go look at the NAIA national meet. You don't get to just show up and win 100 meters. There's some dogs in NAIA. I mean, that means there's some coaches coaching those dogs.
Just in the NAIA, 2 weeks ago, a gentleman went 660 in the 60 meters at an NAIA school. So,
holy.
So yeah, there's always.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Some big dogs there.
I love that.
It's always about the coaches and who you connect with and things like that. So but that's the things that some people get away from too. They think Division I scholarship or bust.
Right.
D2 and NAI give just as many.
Yeah,
scholarships
absolutely.
In Division III, there's all those grants that they give out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know that well, being a D3 athlete.
And I wonder sometimes, when they talk about D1 or bust mentality, because I have a lot of athletes that follow me on Twitter as well. And so I kind of keep my pulse on what 17, 18-year-old kids are thinking and doing. I'm not sure. I kind of wonder, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this out loud. I kind of wonder sometimes if it's an excuse that other coaches say. Like, oh, I lost that kid because it was D1 or bust. It's like, I don't know, man. There's a reason why there's a lot of transfer, a lot of portals. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All right, David, end us up here. So we'll be able to check this a year from now. You've had some time to think about it because I heard you know the question coming up. What's a prediction? And it doesn't have to be this worldly big prediction. It could be, we're going to set the shot put school record this year. What's a prediction you think that's going to happen here in 2025 for track and field?
I'll do one for my program. I think I will send the most student athletes to the national championships, indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
So,
and you've been doing a good job. So it's not like you just started. That's a heck of a goal.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Praying for that and everything like that. And then I think in the grand scheme of things, with these roster caps, I actually think one-trick programs won't win an NCAA title.
So you see more diversity amongst the programs versus the specialization of programs.
And with that,
I could have a debate. I could have two more. A lot of coaches on this side, and a lot of coaches that agree and disagree with that. Yeah.
Predictions can be
yeah. So that's gonna be a hard one to actually check to see if it's true. By the way. Yeah.
So,
but I like it.
That it's going to be more well-rounded, and we may see actually more points being scored because of that. That might be a good way to test that. Is how many schools score at the national meet. Yeah, I like that. David, thank you so much, man. Whatever you do, keep that logo. But really grateful for what you do. You're growing the program, and healthy things grow. I'm a big believer in that, and so it's cool to see the roster and how many kids are going to nationals. That's coaching, baby. I love it. I just want to plug Donate Life. So
please do. Yeah, tell us more about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm actually a double lung transplant recipient about a year and a half ago. So, if you're out there, donate life. It saves lives. That's why I'm here.
It did, baby. It absolutely did. I'm so glad that you're here, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
We're praying for you and love you, and just so glad to see you healthy and moving around and doing really positive impacts with young people.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're born to do.
Yeah, you can get back out there. It was a 3-month recovery after my surgery, and I got
Wow.
back to work. So
you should have took 4 months, bro. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
David, thank you so much. Appreciate you, bud. Yeah, all in the game. Would love to see that debate, right? Well-rounded teams. I thought there might be some more well-roundedness, but I'm starting to hear more and more of the specialization because of the caps of 45 and 17 and all the things that go with it. Here's the cool thing is no one knows right now on December 16th, 2024, but we'll know more in June, and we'll certainly know more December of 2025. All right, my friend, how are you?
Doing well.
Start by introducing yourself, please. And I don't know if you heard the rule. We need the mic pretty close so everybody can hear that beautiful voice.
All right. I'm Tyree Price, assistant track and field coach at TCU with the horizontal jumps.
The horizontal jumps, man. You're so. I love you, by the way. You do such a good job. USC and Bethune-Cookman or SC State. I always get them mixed up. Yeah, both. Okay. See, I took a risk there to guess there. But always have done a good job. Everywhere you go, there's not just necessarily good athletes are attracted to being coached by you. You make really good athletes. You coach your butt off, my friend, and it's really cool to see.
I give it to the athletes. So they help make me.
Yeah, I'm glad I get to do this live because one of my things that I absolutely can't stand when coaches say this, and Ken Harden is the worst at this, is I'm just the bus driver. Because here's the thing. If that's true, then I don't need you. We don't need you. But we do need you and Ken and other guys and gals. Your coaching matters.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I
that.
get it.
Yeah.
I know you of all people, Tyree, you're so humble. You ooze humility. I get that. But don't forget the positive impact you make on young people, which isn't always, by the way, what their penultimate step is. It's how you treat and talk with them and lift them up. Because 99% of them are not going to go pro in track and field, but 100% of them are going to go on and become business owners, doctors, teachers, coaches, moms, dads, etc. And that's your real positive impact that you make. Okay, I'm stepping off my soapbox, but want to get you on your soapbox. So the theme of the year that we've been talking about. What's your thoughts, feelings, actions on just all this, call it craziness, if you will, this change in the NCAA?
Well, I think I looked at it from last year's standpoint that I felt it was a good thing that's coming along. The negative is probably less opportunities for some institutions, but then it's more so for those people who opt in. It's less opportunities for those schools. But then I always said, because I've come from a mid division level
mid-major,
areas,
yeah.
So and then HBCU as well. you have opportunities to get some of the athletes that you didn't have the opportunity to get before. So now it opens up the level of playing field for those student athletes.
You brought up something that I hadn't thought about. I have a lot of respect and love for HBCUs, mainly because the coaches that I've met at HBCUs are just salt of the earth people. Like I love, we had Richie Bean here earlier. I mean, just really amazing people. I haven't thought specifically about them. Is there any extra negative towards them because of I'll call it unique situations, being an HBCU, et cetera, or are they lumped into the same as a Division I or Division II, depending on what division they're in?
No, I really don't think there's any downside because even from if they opt in and with the 45, it kind of helps them as well because now when you're looking at numbers and when athletic directors look at numbers and they're going to boosters and it's like that, when the numbers fluctuate, then you have no stable body from how many numbers that you're dealing with student athletes. So now from all levels that you say, okay, this is the max amount of student athletes we're ever going to have in a given year.
She's here just to take your picture. You know that, not me. Love you guys. Thank you.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, now they can say, okay, we're never going to have this many more athletes as a body of athletics, and so it's easier to go to the constituents and say, okay, this is how much money we're going to need to able to fund the athletic department because we're never going to. But when you had before, you could have 100 people on your team, you can have 50 people, and so it can always fluctuate for that standpoint. So it's hard
pretty significantly
to bring in the money and keeping it stable. Like, well, this year you asked for this amount of money. That year you asked for this amount.
You never asked for less, by the way. Yeah. You got half the roster, but you asked for more. Yeah.
So if
my boss is over there, I do the same thing in my budget every year. I'm glad he's not listening. Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
So when you know that this is the max amount of people, you can say, okay,
that's a great point.
This is where our high side is going to be. We can always go lower, but yet this is where high side is the max.
It gives some stability to because I think right now today you've got to do a lot of things with roster management. Yes. Boy, with this 45 and 17, like you are a GM. You are now today, but you are really a GM on roster management. How you do your red shirts, when someone gets injured, who you're going to carry indoor versus outdoor versus cross. But you do know the maximum, though, which is different today.
Now, the other thing is it forces coaches to really forecast their recruiting out and really understand those things. But so if those coaches are not forecasting out, you're just looking for today, you're going to be caught up. Come in 2 years or 3 years.
So how was your best guess? Recruiting. So let's say it's 45. So if things are equal, and they're typically not ever equal, right? That means 10 to 12-ish per class, not counting a full red. That's 4 years only, right? Not counting 5. And if you're going to be a full team. That means 10 people spread out of your distance, your throws, your jumps, your sprints, maybe multi, etc. Are you recruiting like you doing jumps? Are you like down to like just recruiting 2 kids a year?
No, well, it comes down to I think what each director or head coach wants to do, and so it just comes down. You got to get the best athletes that's going to help your program to be the best that they can be.
So you may be zero.
It could be zero.
The sprint coach may say, "Hey, I got 5-10 flat kids right now, boss."
Right. And that's what you want to look at is what's going to better your program for the conference and what's going to better your conference for nationals.
So this just kind of, I got a little bit of goosebumps actually. So let's say it's evenly and you recruit 2 kids a year. Let's just, and I realize what you're saying. I respect that. Does that mean, and I hope the answer is yes, and I know we're all conjecture here, but does that mean you might have a better, I hate this term, but you'll understand exactly what I'm saying, work-life balance? Because right now you could be recruiting, I imagine you start at 40 to 50 and it whittles down to the 4, 5, 6, whatever you sign. Does this mean like, oh, I only have to go after 5 or 6 to get my 2? I can actually be a human being and not a track coach 24/7 because that's not healthy.
Yes and no. And I'm going to say, and I say that because
notice all the good coaches always say maybe and yes and no. I like that.
Because you're not sure if you're going to get just those 2 people. So because everybody else is probably after those same 2 people, you still have to recruit.
You hope so, or there might be the 2 wrong people.
So you're hoping that you're getting, you got to have a stable of people. So just in case the 2 that you're top of going after, you can't get them. That okay, these are the next 2 people.
So you've got to keep a connection with X amount of people. and figure out how to do that correctly, meaning not leading people on. And hey, I've signed my 2 that I'm allowed, Mr. and Mrs. Third person. Hey, call my buddy coach so and so at this school, or or again, if you're recruiting the right people, they've got their own backups. Yeah.
And so, and in that case, like you just said, is being able to take that person over. And it's like, listen, we've reached the limit of what we can do. I can help you get to the best situation for you.
Right. Yeah. That's what's called longevity, by the way, and means you can recruit 2 more people. And 20 years from now, you'll still be a respected person. I love it. All right, Tyree. So we're going to publish this again next December as we're leading into the 2025 convention. So we'll be able to check to see this answer. Give us a prediction for something that's going to happen in track and field. It could be TCU school record. You're going to set the long jump school, which that's a heck of a school record, by the way.
Yes,
it could be, someone earlier said Noah Lyles is going to bounce back and win the 100 and 200. So it could be as high, as low, anywhere in between. Just what do you think something that's exciting maybe that's going to happen here in 2025?
Rob Benjamin is going to dominate again.
Oh, bro, come on. I said you got to give this some harden to this. Come on. I had a conversation with Joanna Hayes at Prefontaine 2 years ago and was talking about Rye. And, they're at that point, I hate to say the media, people were like, oh, he's underperforming. The Warholm is beating, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, they have no idea what's going on, the plan and things like that. And I was like, hey, here's the cool thing. And I know Joanna doesn't care about what other people think in regards to this. I go, who cares what they think? Just show up and do it. And she's like, that's exactly what we're going to do. And so for them to have I was so excited, like so pumped as she goes into a head coaching position herself. Like, I was really happy for Rye and for her.
But I remember being at USC for a time period, watching Rye really train.
Yeah,
it was setting up. It was just small.
Yeah, that's true. You had insider view to this. Yeah.
So the injuries that they happened they kind of derailed them that year.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yet you saw it was coming.
It built up.
Oh yeah,
it built up. I'm not sure. And it's hard to say this because of what he ran and all this, because I'm not sure he's at the cut. I think there's more in the tank.
Oh, there's a lot more in the tank.
Yeah.
And he's more fired up now than you thought but before.
I love that. I was at, I think it was Prefontaine. Somewhere I had to be in line for one of these type of meet that Rye was running in, and he was behind me in line. And so I snuck a picture over and I tweeted and said, hey, does anybody recognize this guy? He looks kind of fast. And I tagged him. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I was like, that's the closest Rye Benjamin's ever going to know who the world I am. Tyree, thank you so much, man. I'm really grateful for you to sit down here. I'm a big fan of yours from a long time ago. And it's just so awesome to see the success because you deserve every bit of it. And the athletes that you get to coach are very deserving of you as well, man.
Thank
so
you.
very, very grateful.
I enjoy watching you and seeing you and always conversation with you. You're a great person, man.
You need to pick it back up, though. I think I've said this to you every year. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
The show is coming back out.
Good.
It's going on things.
We're
recording starting next week. We're going to start recording.
You have got to go check it out. Go on is probably the easiest place is social media, like maybe YouTube, probably. Maybe
YouTube.
Go to YouTube. If I search your name, will it pop up? What's the name? You call it
the Making of Champions.
Making of Champions. He has had really amazing people on his show, and that's coming from a guy who thinks I have amazing people. I do. I don't think I know. And it's really enjoyable to see a different style and a different, you come at it from a different angle because of what you're doing today as coaching. So you know me, I don't think of those things as competition. I think of it as greatness for our sport. So I'm always going to be like more while you're doing your job and having a life. I get it. But what you're doing is important, and I'm grateful that you're contributing to our great coaches in that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you very much. Oh, we got a prediction. By the way, yes, Tyree works with Marissa Chu. They're at TCU, of course. The coaches collab. Love her and the Athletics LLC and what they're doing there. We got a prediction here. Jasmine Jones will run sub 52 in the 400 hurdles. Jamisa Ford will run. You got a lot of predictions here. Sub 44 and Kaylin Brown will run sub 49. It might even break the NCAA 400 meter record. Now that is that's a bold prediction. We're gonna do one more after him. Do you want to be it? Okay. And then we're done because he's gonna want to feed me, and I want to be fed. So guys, he'll be the next one, and then we're done. Okay. All right.
I'm going against a hungry Mike, so I got to make sure I keep this.
That sounds like a YouTube show, The Hungry Mice. I just appreciate him not calling me Hungry Hippo. That's always nice of him not to call me that. Start out by introducing yourself, sir, and you know the rules. And you're a little bit more experienced than some of us. Mic up to the mouth so everybody can hear.
Yeah, you got to eat the mic. If I get sick afterwards, I'll blame you. But
just ignore those parts.
Greg Schmidt, head cross country track and field coach, University of Bridgeport, men and women,
and a Gill Connections podcast alum. Do got to plug. You're listening to it right now, so I don't need to really plug it. But go check out the library. Amazing coaches that we've had as we're getting closer and closer to 300. Man, it really kind of boggles my mind that we're getting near 300. All right, so you know the topic of the day. We are talking about the NCAA and all the changes, NIL, roster caps. I mean, just there's so many avenues to go down to it. What's your thoughts, feelings, actions on all this change?
Well, the more that we allow negative things to be allowed through the NCAA, you know, it's kind of started with the NIL. I'm in the way.
You bump stuff. That's all.
Oh, I did that last time too.
I think you did. Don't you need your parents teach you not to put the elbows on the table?
Well, I'm old. I need a rest. But the more that negative decisions are made, it's just going to make it easier for things to kind of snowball out of control. In my opinion now, especially track and field, but pretty much most Olympic sports, we're in a tunnel on the train tracks, and we're like, hey, look at that pretty light coming towards us, not really seeing what's happening to us.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you think we're a little blind to some of this?
I think we're blind to some of this. And, you know, talking with a lot of the coaches, which I've been doing all week long, it's been 2 days, but when I hear, oh, well, no, this is just going to affect a few programs. This is just going to affect – no, it's going to be – I don't even want to say a trickle-down effect. It's going to be a direct effect to so many programs. You know, the haves are going to get stronger. The have-nots are going to get weaker. This started with NIL.
Someone earlier said Grand Canyon between the haves and have-nots.
Yes, and, you know, being a Division II coach, the D1s that, you know, you have to have those roster limits now. First of all, they're going to struggle, but those athletes – they're not going to go to every single D2 and D3. They're going to go to ones that already have the resources. So the D2s that are just trying to get by, they're not going to get those kids. So the D2s that are higher are going to get stronger as a result.
I'm thinking it's going to, I'm naively thinking it's going to trickle equally amongst D2, D3.
Oh, no.
You're saying that whatever chasm, because in
Right.
between all divisions there are haves and have-nots, whether it's budget, easy to get in at school versus
Right.
Harder schools, things like that. You're saying that even amongst those, and you're right. I wish there was a better word than trickle.
Right.
Trickling are going to help the people that are already good. There's a chasm in that world as well.
Well, there's a naivete that all Division IIs are equal, that you're allowed to have that amount of scholarships and you have that amount of facilities and funding.
Right.
And a lot of schools don't. You know, they're trying to deal with enrollment, and you know me, I don't mince words. I mean, I think the worst thing that happened, not just to college athletics, but higher education, was letting, for lack of a better term, nitwit, knucklehead businessmen to kind of take over, and educators actually stepping out of the role. So when you think about the bottom line, which is what they're doing, they don't really care about your athletic programs getting stronger.
Yeah, you take out little Joey and little Jane and replace it by dollar signs only.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's more about the bottom line of everything.
And how many people got into education and coaches for the dollar signs? They got into it for the Janes and Joeys.
Right. And the professors as well as the coaches, they want to be part of education, because coaching is a form of education. As much people don't really recognize that, it really should be. And I get frustrated with my fellow coaches, which I love what you do because you highlight the coaches here. But when, I hear things like, well, I don't want anybody on my team that's not faster than 21.7 or whatever the case might be. Okay, well, are you coaching at that point, or are you just trying to get the best athletes possible in order to do that? There's not a lot of education going on.
Yeah. And I don't know that you're necessarily going down this avenue, but it's an avenue that I always fight back against, is that they're not developing just because they get fast kids.
Oh, no, I don't think that.
I don't think you're really going down
that.
I don't think that.
I just think at that point.
But I see what you're saying about roster management versus, we like to define development as, I took a 10-minute 2-miler high school boy and now they run 8 flat or whatever in the 3K, whatever. But a kid who runs 8 flat in the 2 mile out of high school. That would never happen, right? Actually, never say never.
Never say never,
you guys are coaching these days. But taking that kid from, I should have stuck. I usually do this analogy with a 100-meter dash. I should have stuck with there. But if you take a kid who's running 8:30 in the 2 mile out of high school, and you make them, you need them to run 8:20. That is still development and still as hard. By the way, I'm not comparing one's harder than the other. No. That's still hard. And
I say this all the time. There's a diminishing return as you get better. So if you're a thrower, going from a 40-foot high school shot putter to a 45. Sometimes is a little bit, most times is a little bit easier than taking a guy that's 60 foot, turn him to a 62 footer.
Would you want the job, speaking of shot put, of trying to take, what's Ryan Krauser's PR, 74 feet something?
No, farther than that
76.
now. He's 76, yeah.
Would you like to be the one who's responsible for taking him from 76 to 76 foot 2?
Exactly.
So you know how hard that
every
would be?
quarter
that
of an
dude's
inch.
Developed.
Yes, every quarter of an inch is a struggle at that point. It's just like a sprinter, taking a guy who's just developing from 24 down to like a 22.9, a little bit easier task than going from a 20.1.
Yeah, I don't know easier. I stay away from those words.
Well, it's the diminishing
both
return.
is hard. Both are hard. Both are hard. And really, the truth of it is, both are developing.
Right.
That's the real truth.
Right. And I just think we've gotten away from the coaching being a form of education.
I agree with that.
Thinking a lot of that.
I appreciate you bringing that up. Because you can easily replace your coach with teacher. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, your English teacher is a coach too. Just he or she's teaching, coaching Shakespeare or what, grammatical. Yeah.
And for me, that's what the disappointing thing is. Like I said, in higher education as a whole, it's moved away from education and it's more of a business now. And I'm not that old. I've coached for 20 years.
Is it too late to turn back? Because
no, I think the fact that there is such a removal of a lot of universities that universities are going to have to focus more on what is the best thing for us. It's going to be promoting our education and promoting our academic programs. And then the athletes that come in specifically for that is what's going to help it out.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Prediction time. So we're going to be able to check this in a year from now. What's a prediction you have? Could be your program, could be elite, could be high school, just something in track and field. What's a prediction?
I think that there's going to be a lot of jostling with Grand Prix track and field starting off now. I don't think it's going to be a negative. Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Grand Prix was
he might have a marketing issue because I also called it the Golden Spikes Tour, which
really?
That's like from 1980, I think, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think that with that, there's going to be a little bit more competition, and our sport as a whole does need to grow, and we need to fine tune and figure out better ways to market itself.
Do you have issues that there are no field events?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I saw what they were saying about it. Of I could save track, but I can't save field.
Yeah.
We just need somebody like that to step in for the field side of things.
Yeah.
And show.
Yep.
I think Drake does a great job with a lot of the field events they do with the pole vault in the mall and in the street and things like that.
Yep.
So the more we can do to kind of market our sport a little bit better, because it is an exciting sport when it's done properly.
I agree with that. I love that. Hey, thank you so much, man. I'm always so grateful
Thanks for everything you do.
Thanks for not going to the comedy club. Instead, you stayed here this time. I appreciate that very much.
I would have gotten a tepid response anyway, so I'll stay here instead.
Thank you, brother.
See you, buddy.
Appreciate you, man. All right. Yep, Marcus. Do you have? I can't say. I will always take you. Yeah. Let me get Richie. I'm gonna do real quick with Richie because I want you last. I want you my anchor leg. And Richie always, if he ever wants to sit down with me, I always sit down. He just makes it longer by doing this. Yeah. Ryan Krauser's birthday is on Wednesday, and he turns 32. Holy cow! I can't believe he's only 32. Scoot in a little bit here with me. They want to see your beautiful face, and the microphone has to be pretty close to your mouth. Introduce yourself as if you need any introduction.
Hi, I'm Richard Bean, head track and field coach, cross country at Alabama State University.
How do you resist not wearing one championship ring on every finger everywhere you go? Because after as many as you have won with your athletes and coaching staffs, I would do it everywhere I go.
I have one that I wear all the time. The other ones are in my man cave upstairs.
Yeah.
So,
how big of a ring display must you have, dude?
I have 2 cases.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
it's still so iconic. That picture online of it, and that was like probably 10 rings ago, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a really it's like the iconic Michael Jordan picture when he had a ring for each finger.
Yeah,
it always reminds me, it's like, oh, this is our version
It's
right
been
here.
good. It's It's been good.
All right, Mr. Richie Bean. By the way, Gill podcast alum. Use the same podcast you're listening to right now, unless you're watching live, of course. And you got to hear this story, this journey. His journey and story is important and pretty heartfelt. There's some tragedy there that I'm so grateful for you to open up and be authentic and tell us. But it's what we all go through, some of these things like this, and I'm just grateful for you again sharing that with our listeners. All right. Richie, the topic for the night here is the NCAA and all the changes that are going on. You're at a Division I school that has done really well with developing kids, however you want to define that, but kids being at the highest level, many championships. What do you think? Thoughts, feelings, actions on all this NCAA stuff, how it might affect you, maybe how you're preparing for it. What's your thoughts?
Well, to be honest with you, there's so many thoughts. And honestly, Mike, I'm in a listening phase at this point right now. I lean on the side of wisdom. I've been blessed and privileged to sit in several different rooms at an NCAA level, USTFCCCA level, and hear a lot of voices. But I think one of the biggest things now is people need to educate themselves on what is and what's not.
How do you do that, though, when there has been so little guidance sent down? We don't know. Like, it's so funny. Even just tonight, we've had people say that the utilizing the 45 and 17 numbers, that the 17 on your cross country roster are not going to count towards your 45, and then someone else sits down and says, "Oh yeah, no, they are." And then you can opt in, but you can also not opt in and still go to NCAA. I mean, there's been. This is where I think they did a really bad job. But by the way, I think the World Athletics did a bad job with this, with their new rules, like that long jump specifically. Is they throw this stuff out there and then just leave it up to us to figure, not even figure it out, because they're going to figure it out, but they leave it up to us to guess and conjecture and stress about.
Right.
There's just so little actual guidance towards you guys on what you are actually going to be able to do and not do and how it's going to operate.
Well, Mike, it's a lot of things, and you just hit the nail on the head. You've talked to several different coaches tonight, and you heard several different things that were somewhere on the same street,
wildly different.
but not at the
Yes,
same house.
right.
And this thing going on with the changes and things like that. I've heard from administrators, I've heard from coaches, I've heard from almost every level, and you'll get different answers from everybody. And it's kind of disheartening.
It is,
because the sport that I grew to love is the sport now that I often question myself, do I still want to be a part of? Because what happened to old school coaching? What happened to every young man, every young woman put on a uniform, go out there, represent their family name, their school name, and their university or whatever to the best of their ability?
Yeah.
I mean, we're pushing toward making it a team sport. And I mean, if you're good at what you do, track is one of the true sports where anybody and everybody can get the business any day, even if your own teammate.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it, where if you run in 100, there's no timeout.
That's right.
Once you start down the runway, it's you against everything else.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, how do you conceptualize that into making it something different than what it's been for so many years?
Right.
That's what I struggle with.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
I'm doing a lot of listening.
Do you, in wise words from someone who's been around for a while, and I'm always conflicted when I say this next thing about coaches of your age and stage is, I'm going there. You're going to retire, and I'm going to say this hopefully soon. And what I mean by that is because I think you deserve it, not because I want you. I don't want you out of coaching, but I want you to and your family to enjoy retirement. We all hopefully want toward retirement. Do you have not knowing, and you don't have to reflect anything here tonight, that could be next year, it could be 10 years, I don't know, we don't need to know, but it's imminent in that sense with you. Do you look at this differently? Like, are you, and this isn't the Richie Bean that I know, so I'm sure you're going to answer no to this. Are you just like, I'm just going to bide my time, Mike. I'm going to be gone, retired here in 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not going to really affect me. Or because of the leadership I know that is within you, are you like, okay, I may have 2, 3, 4, whatever time frame you have. I'm going to lead every second that I have.
Well, it's so funny that you brought that up, but man, you and I are two men with like spirits.
Yep.
Right. Just last week, I'm not saying that I'm looking to retire, but I literally last week went in and started putting my ducks in a row, just making sure, because I mean, when I get out on the track, I enjoy being out there with the student. It is so fun. But when you sit in the office and you sit in these meetings, it makes you wonder, like,
what am I doing? How has this changed?
How has it changed? And like I said, I'm not rushing to get out of sport. I think I have many more years ahead of me, but I don't want to be somewhere where I'm not enjoying it.
Right.
I don't want to be a part of
and
something.
You deserve to be at some place where you're enjoying it. Yes.
And be
in a profession that you enjoy.
And be somewhere where you're tolerated. And I'm not saying that toward my university, but it's a lot of things that people are doing to tolerate each other now. And that's the part where, we'll do this for now, or we'll do this. We really, really, as coaches, as a sport, need to take a hard look. We need to stop putting stuff out there that's not true. It's a lot of things going out that's not true. There's a lot of information that's out there that's not fully vetted.
Yep.
And it's a lot of things out there administrators are trying to still figure out.
Yeah.
And the coaches and the kids are suffering.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike.
Yeah.
You can give me a job.
But hey, we'll take you. As long as there's still a sport, we got to have a sport. We're very keen on that. Richie, thank you so much, man. A little shorter tonight, but again, I implore you to go and take a listen to his journey, because it was special, man. You're special, and one of the most proud things that you can say to me is that you and I are kindred spirits, man. There's a lot of other good compliments you can give me. That one stirs my soul, brother. I appreciate you,
my brother. Thank you. Love you, man.
We're down. You better hop in before. He always leaves me before it's done. Are you really? Which one are you going to? I've been literally busy, boss. Every good relay has to have an anchor. It just, you can have three great legs, and you put me on the anchor, and you just wasted those three people. So I'm really proud, really happy to have the best anchor leg I could have had. Every year we've done this, we've always had we've had Blake Bolden start us off every year, and I'm proud of that and love him. And we've always had a great last person, and that's going to hold true today, this year, here in 2024. Start by, and you got to make sure the microphone's close to you here. Start by introducing yourself, please.
My name is Marquise Lowe, Director of Track and Field for Kankakee School District and the Vipers Track Club from Illinois.
I was going to say, you got to say the state. Everybody's listening. They're like, where's Kankakee? I've never heard of that. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. And by the way, Gill podcast alum, so please go check out his story, his journey. Really, it's so much fun. And it was interesting with you. We get these different topics with each guest to talk about a director of track and field on the high school side and how that reflects middle school and high school. And really, it was fascinating, actually. I really appreciate you doing that. So as a high school coach, help us understand, what are you thinking about all this NCAA change and how that might reflect into the high school kids? You've got a lot of kids that go on to college on all levels. What are you thinking, thoughts, feelings, actions on all this change here?
You know what? Change is always good, depending on which area we're working towards. So for the new changes that are coming for the NCAA, may be good for some of the Power 5 schools, but I think at the lower levels, they're going to struggle just a little bit, only because, the roster limits are going to cut a lot of things. And most of the programs are not telling track and field coaches exactly what they have going on. And some coaches do know what they have going on. So it's going to be interesting to see what all happens at the end.
What about, so you routinely have multiple kids that are college eligible as far as, their athleticism and academics and things like that. How are you maybe preparing your athletes, your juniors, sophomores, freshmen, and maybe seniors this year, I guess? How are you? Well, actually, let's pause that. Let's start with today's seniors. You have kids that are being recruited now.
Yes.
Have you seen anything change right now, 2024, these kids that are graduating in 2025, what have you seen change for
Not
them?
so much this year.
Okay.
I think a lot of the changes are going to happen next
Okay.
year. So a lot of my seniors are signed and going where they need to go.
Okay.
I think this junior class coming up is when the changes are going to come into
Yeah,
effect.
fair enough. So what are you doing, if anything at this point? A fair answer would be nothing because
Right.
we don't know. But what are you maybe doing or talking or preparing them differently and their parents
Right.
For the journey of being recruited as best as you can see right now?
My message to all of them is just keep all your options open.
Okay.
Because look,
and that's been a theme of yours before. You're not one of these. I don't know this guy actually. I just maybe have not met this person that says, no, I want all my kids to go D1 or it doesn't matter. I don't really see that. I'm sorry. But you've certainly been the guy that's like, hey, man, you want to go D2, D3? What's best for you? Your ego is not wrapped into what school they sign.
Yeah, because I think it's important for them to understand that you can be successful at any level. I think, when we get into our Division I and our Power 5 schools, a lot of kids, those are the dream schools that a lot of kids really have to have the marks and then have some great academic standards. But, at those Power 5 schools, you need both, and you're not going to be able to survive. So it's okay to look at those Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCOs, and then when you do get those marks, if you want to transfer out get into the transfer portal, I think that's important as well. Just knowing that there's a different route for different athletes and different calibers, because sometimes you have late bloomers that really get into they don't grow into 2 years
Right.
and then
we're talking about 18-year-old kids, by the way,
and then,
right?
when they get to college, they don't understand. It's more so like a job. You got study hall, you got to go to practice, and nobody's going to make you do anything. So the will, the want, it's all about their will. And so we're just preparing our athletes right now. Like, hey, the standards are changing. So please make sure that you're prepared for every level, no matter what.
Do you foresee, or are you seeing today, any drop in participation rates amongst your middle school and high school athletes?
No, our middle school averages about 90 kids per year since I've been there for 7 years. Our high school teeters up and down a little bit, but we've had great success on the on the girls and the boys side in track and field. So, and our numbers are actually fairly high for this time around December. We are around 60 total athletes that have been coming to conditioning, and that's really, really big for our high school. So I'm looking forward to when some of the other sports get out, because we got basketball going on. Our football team, they just went to, I want to say the second, third round. So we are getting those athletes coming in right now, and our team is going to be fairly big this year. So not on our side. I think we're going to be bigger than we've been in the last couple of years for sure.
So let's put you on the spot here. We're close enough. I feel like I can do that, right? You can always just drive down and yell at me next week if you really want to.
Right.
You've got a kid who, good athlete, but they're just not, let's say Division I caliber. They might be.
Right.
Maybe they have a young training age or whatever, but they grew up in Kankakee. They grew up a huge Fighting Illini, right? It's just down the road, and certainly with the coaches we've had in the past and the coaching staff that we have now, that's a destination place to go and compete at. You've had many people yourself. You're an alum of the Fighting Illini. So is my wife. So I always got to plug Fighting Illini and Troy University. That's a constant battle. But the kid's just not, why aren't they calling me, coach? Or, hey, I got a letter from them, but, they're not calling me. How do you have that conversation with a parent of maybe alternatives, or I guess alternatives, or how would you counsel this mythical athlete?
We always make sure that they have a plan in place no matter what. First, we look at the academic standards, because Illinois academics is really, really
right. Yeah, it's surprising that you are an alum there. I'm really kind of shocked.
It's really intense.
Yeah.
So just making sure that they're there, and then
let's say they have the academic
scores and test scores. Now it's the time.
Yeah, coach, I want to go to. I've been working. I've seen all these. My teammate last year signed with Illinois.
And now you gotta look at the coaching philosophies. The chemistry, the team chemistry. Do you fit in? Will you be able to go in and have an immediate impact, or would it be better for you to take an alternate route? And if that's okay, maybe that's not the first path. Maybe there's an alternative path for you to get to Illinois. And so
when you say that, are you traditionally we would say it out loud like, oh, maybe junior college or something like that, but you might, not call it non-traditionally, but it may be today's tradition. You might be talking about going somewhere and transferring.
Yeah.
To
Because,
Illinois.
I mean, the transfer portal, you look at it at the basketball level and the football level and now track and field level. It's been
Do
crazy
high school coaches are generally more positive or negative towards the transfer portal? It's generally negative on the college side.
I think it's neutral on the high school side, only because it's fairly new with track and field athletes.
Yeah.
You see it so much in football and basketball, but like track and field, it's just very, very neutral. But I think now it's going to start to become a bit of a problem because you see athletes are being recruited right from the school.
Yeah.
And so
what was the football guy who put his name in on Monday and already had, it was like, he's a stud now, and already had like a signed scholarship in NIL by Monday night or Tuesday morning. It was like, really? There's no early recruiting there? That seems a little fishy.
It happens and it's crazy. So we just want to prepare our kids for all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You just, we're coming into a new day and age with a name likeness and image.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting in the next couple of years for NCAA and track and field.
All right, you get the last prediction of the night. So we're going to be able to listen to this. We're going to publish this next December going into the convention for next year. What's a prediction that you think is going to happen in track and field in 2025? It could be Kankakee related. It could be like, oh, we're going to have this many people on the roster, or we're going to set the 4x4 school record, or it could be elite level. Any prediction. I just want to be able to call you out and tell you you're right or wrong. December of 2025.
Okay, so this 2025 next year. So I will say, due to an injury last year, Kankakee didn't finish, was not able to defend their title. I will say Kankakee will be in your top 10 on the women's side this year for IHSA. And I will say that Illinois is going to shock some people in the Big Ten and also on the Nationals this year.
Never doubt Petros. Ever.
I am a believer.
Ever.
I'm a believer.
Ever.
Coach Petros and Coach Small got some good things going right now.
Agreed. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for anchoring us tonight, man.
Thank you.
I get to go eat dinner now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Guys, gals, thank you so much for being here live on YouTube, live on Twitter. If you're listening to this at some point, you're probably listening to it in 2025 because we'll have this on the podcast audio version as well as rebroadcasting in December of 2025. I'm just so thankful, so humbled that our guest would be with us to sit down in the hot seat and talk about this. If you enjoyed this, please go to our YouTube channel and like it. That way I know that people are paying attention and I know to do more of these. And of course, follow me along on Twitter at Mike Cunningham. I might have, here's a little tip if you're still listening, might have something else going on live on Twitter tonight. Check it out. See you guys. What's up, brother?